I am so excited to introduce our next guest today because he checks a lot of the boxes of my favorite guest ever. For example, anybody in the food business? Check. I love talking about the food business because frankly, I love to eat. Anybody with a family business? Check, because I think family businesses are really cool. And anyone who used to do something else and maybe did something as a side hustle and got really good at it and turned that into their business? Check, because those stories are always fascinating. We've got all that covered and so much more today here on All In with my next guest. The name of the company is On&crackingbbq. That's right, On&crackingbbq. Mr. On&cracking himself, my guest, Kevin Roden Jr. here on the show. Kevin, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Good, in yourself?
Man, a professional barbecue guy. I'm doing great, man. I'm already looking forward to watching this so I can take some notes myself and maybe give it a shot. So let me ask you something, Kevin, before we get to where you are now, what were you doing before you got in the barbecue biz full time?
Truck driver.
A truck driver. So roaming around, you probably had a chance to eat all sorts of barbecue on the road, did you?
Yes, sir.
And you figured maybe I can do this myself. So what did it start off? You would get home when you're home from the road. Did you start cooking and get to the point to where people said you're really good at this, you ought to get into business? Or talk to me. How did we go from a man who drove a truck and checked out barbecue in different places to a man that left the truck and started doing barbecue?
Well, it started off from my dad and my mom. So I learned both of them from my parents. So that's how I started off with that. My dad loved to barbecue, enjoyed the time out. My mom loved to do it. We actually did it for my uncle's fundraiser, and they loved it. And we raised about $1,500 at that time.
Good for you. So you figured out pretty early you must have been good at it, because if we weren't good at it, you wouldn't have made that kind of money. So tell me something, man. I'm born right here in the great state of Texas. Are you from Dallas or from Austin or Fort Worth? What part of Texas are you from, Kevin?
That'll be California, Texas, sir.
You're far west Texas. All right. So how's the barbecue game out there, man? How are you received with the California barbecue people?
I'm received pretty good because I did have a catering event that I did, and all the family was from Texas, and they gave me all thumbs up. So
Good.
That really warmed my heart.
Well, good for you. That speaks volumes. So let's get into the meat of the story, pun intended there, because I'm a professional like that. When we're talking barbecue, there's all sorts of different products you can do. What type of things do you like to barbecue, and what is the most popular item that you put out there?
Well, I like to barbecue the ribs, so that'll be something that's very popular. If they fall off the bone, they melt in your mouth, and you taste that smoke and seasoning. So the ribs is my favorite right now.
Ribs are kind of my favorite too. They're kind of messy, but you know what? The messier the better. Are you going with a dry rib or going with the sauce, or what's your technique? I don't need ingredients, don't worry, but which direction are you going?
I do both. It's both. I do the rub, I do the sauce. It just depends on my customers, because I'm more of a base of in person to my customers, pleasing them. They're number one to me. So however they like it, I give it to them.
You know, the first thing, Kevin, when I was getting ready for our time together today that jumped off the page from the note you sent in, you get a big kick out of seeing the smile you put on people's faces. That makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Well,
to me, that's one of the first things that you're looking for. Like, I see your smile. That's what I'm looking for.
Good for you. You see the smile on the face and the smile in their belly, and hopefully they're going to tell someone else, and you get to turn around and do it for others as well. Where can people find your stuff? I mean, do you have a place? Are you strictly catering only, or how can people get in touch with you to sample your barbecue?
Well, it's On&crackingbbq. That's at Instagram, Facebook, ONandcrackingbbq. And that's on Facebook, Instagram. I do pop-ups, catering events, weddings. I do it all. So like we say, we all in, I'm all in too.
All into barbecue. You know what? I'm all into barbecue. And as I told you before we started, I can't cook it, but I can certainly eat it. And I enjoy doing just that. So you talked earlier about learning your love for cooking through the family, through your mom and dad. Is it a family business? Where do you see us going with this thing?
Yeah, right now, I do. I still have my mom. My dad has passed away. I have my wife and my kids. We all work together. And it just brings out the love, because if you don't have the love for what you're doing, then your customers could tell. They know if you put love into it or you just did something to try to make $1. So I'm into it for the love.
You know, I hope customers appreciate what it takes to make barbecue the right way. They come rolling in there at noon. That doesn't mean you got there at 11:30 to start cooking, does it?
No, not at all. It's not fast food.
It's not fast food. How long does it take? If you're going to make a bunch of racks of ribs for the day, I mean, how many hours in advance are you out there firing up the pit?
24 hours at times.
24 hours, and you're just babysitting it all night long, making sure everything's going good?
Everything's going good. The smoke is right. It's not burning up. I take pride. That's the most thing that I love to do, is sit there and babysit it. So you put that right on the nail.
Well, you got to babysit, but let's be honest. If it was easy, I could do it. All right, it's not easy, so I leave it to the professional like yourself. But I need to move over a little bit more on the food scale. When I go to eat barbecue, I love the meat, but I like the sides too. Do you make the side dishes as well?
Yes, I do. I do the beans, baked beans, potato salad, mac and cheese. I do greens, green beans. You tell me. I do mashed potatoes, whatever. I did some scalloped potatoes a while ago for one of my customers. So I just base off of whatever my customers want, I do it. So my wife, she helps me with the sides. My son, he helps me with setting up, and it's a lot of preparing into that. So
it's a whole lot of preparing into that, and I'm gonna ask one more. I'm 2 for 2. I got to know this one, Kevin. Dessert. You got a dessert game?
Yes, I do. I have a good friend of mine from my wife. She makes all the desserts. We have a lemon cake, peach cobbler. We do it all. So that's something that I am incorporating into it, and just really trying to finesse with everything. So, you get that good barbecue, you get that good flavor, and then you have something sweet behind it. So I know they love it.
Well, I tell you what, Kevin, if you tell me you make sweet tea as well, I'm going to get off the show today and hop on an airplane and head your direction. It sounds just like a lot of fun. Well, where do you see this thing going? Do you want to keep going like this? Do you ever see yourself getting a food truck or a brick and mortar or anything? Are you pretty happy with the business you got going now?
Well, the food truck and the brick and mortar is something that I'm really fighting with right now as we speak, because the food industry with barbecue, it takes a lot to cook. So I don't want to be just having barbecue rolling around on the streets, and a brick and mortar is something that, it's a lot overhead. So I'm really looking for a place right now for a brick and mortar, and food truck is something that I have a truck, and I have a 4-barrel trailer that I'm actually using at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty familiar with the pop-ups myself, and if you get a good social media presence out there, the people are going to come looking for you because they're going to want to know where you're going to be next, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. Kind of makes it a little bit exciting for people to figure out where you are, particularly when they find you and say, hey, I got a family reunion coming up next month. Can you help me out? Do you build business that way too?
Oh, yes, all the time. I'm passing on my cards. I'm on Yep too, so you could find me on that 5-star rating. It really is a blessing right now. I'm just really trying to just take it slow, not rush anything, because I want it to stay the way it's been.
Well, like I told you, I don't know how to cook barbecue, but I've heard the phrase more than once, low and slow, and that works in the business world too. So I think you're doing everything the exact right way. I appreciate you popping on with me today. And like I told you before we started, I just wish you were here in studio for obvious reasons, because I can almost smell it coming through the camera right now. Hey, I got to roll, man. I got to get out of here. I'm going to let you get back to it. For all I know, you got to go babysit the pit. So you keep being you. We wish you all the best with your barbecue business. Take care.
Thank you.